Powered by Riverside.
Folks, welcome to another edition of Blue Jay Banner Today. I'm Tim Turner on this extremely windy Wednesday as we have a little bit of a bye week here and get set for men's game on Saturday against Kansas State. We're going to today, yesterday we talked about the Nebraska fans chanting NIT and so forth. So I thought maybe it'd be a good time to got me thinking, be a good time to pull up some of my bracketology work over at Bracketville, talk a little bit about, but we'll pull up the Creighton team sheets and the Creighton T ranks and just kind of explain a little bit for some of you that don't follow it as closely as others. We'll check all that out. I'm going old school today. I got that old Blue Jay Banner long sleeve tee on, which kind of brings me to you'll be seeing the new Blue Jay Banner apparel tonight from our exclusive apparel provider. That's rtithreads.com. Go to RTI Threads. You can get everything you want as far as Christmas gear for a Creighton fan. You got tees, shirts, polos, hats, sweatshirts, hoodies, you name it, they got it. Check it out, RTI Threads. Plus, they have jerseys for each of the players as well on men's and women's teams. So check that out. And then we also want to thank our other sponsor, Infusion Brewing Company. Go to infusionbrewing.com. You can see all the beers they have to offer. I was over there yesterday checking out some of the beers that they have on tap, and I was like, man, I've got to start promoting some of these other great beers that they have. I'll try and test some of them out tonight, because tonight, as we have been telling you, is our basketball showcase events co-sponsored by Blue Jay Banner and RTI Threads. It's tonight. It's 5:30. You still have time if you want to send an RSVP to us via our email. So if you send an email to bluejaybanner@gmail.com, we'll get you an RSVP and we'll get you some drink tickets. So it's a fabulous event. Fusion Brewing, there's the address. Starts at 5:30. All the players will be there. We'll have a little Q&A with the players. We'll also have assistant coach Carly Berger there for the women's team. The men's team have another event. The coaches have another event, so they can't be there, but that's fine. Jason and Isaac will clue you in on everything going on with the program. You can ask them questions, and then the big thing is you can go take pictures with them. You can get autographs. RTI Threads will be there selling merchandise. So, hey, you can do your Christmas shopping. Then you can get Isaac or Nora or Neely or Jason merchandise with their number on it. You can give it to them to sign, and what a great gift or a great keepsake to put up on your wall or what have you. So it's all going to happen. We also are going to have about 5 to 6 to 7 raffle items that you'll be able to bid on. So that'll be a lot of fun as well. And we're going to have some food there for you. So check it out. That's Infusion Brewing, 5:30 to 8. You just send an email to bluejaybanner@gmail.com. All it does is just RSVP with the number of people that you're going to bring, so we know how many people you're going to bring. And then when you come to the door, we'll check you in and we'll give you some drink tickets to go with that. So it's a free event, so check it out. Go to bluejaybanner.com, bluejaybanner@gmail.com, to send your RSVP. But it starts tonight at 5:30, goes till 8. We had a huge crowd last year. We're expecting another huge crowd today, so make sure you check that out. That's going to be a fun event tonight. And then also on Saturday, the other event that we're having, we're going to be over at the Hilton. They have a pregame before every game, but we're going to be over there. RTI Threads is doing a special event there, and we're going to be emceeing it. So we're going to have kind of the same kind of setup, but we're going to have a special guest, John Walker, the Omaha World Herald, will be there. We'll kind of do a Q&A with him, and then you can ask him questions about the team. And then we'll do some trivia contests and games and things. and give away prizes, give away some RTI gear and so forth. So that ought to be fun as well. So check all that out. That's on Saturday. Begins at noon at Hilton, right across the street, Hilton downtown Omaha, right across the street from the arena. Cool thing is you can park your car in the ramp, go in the event, have a few drinks, some food, walk across the ramp into the arena, never have to go outside. So it's awesome. So let's do that on Saturday. We'll talk more about that Thursday and Friday after we get through our big event tonight over at Infusion Brewing Company. Okay, so, and I've had some people, first of all, you can go to Bracketville.com. And I'm sorry, it's Bracketville WordPress, Bracketville.wordpress.com, Bracketville.wordpress.com. I'll get a link to that so we can put that up here. You go there, see my bracket, and also see Dave L. Ullman, who began and runs the Bracketville site. Dave does a fantastic job. So you can compare our brackets right now and look at both of them, look at our seed lists and so forth. Creighton's nowhere near the field right now, obviously, because they haven't had any kind of quality wins. They missed out on Nebraska, or Baylor was probably the two that they really could have got that could be quality. Oregon could kind of be a quality win later, but I don't foresee that happening in the tough Big Ten. So, I mean, we're seeing what Michigan's doing to teams. So it's in Purdue. And so, yeah, it's going to be really tough. But with the chance, like we said last week, of NIT got me thinking, you know, where are we at? Where are we really at here? And kind of going to check out some of the things that people will look at and see and so forth. So we're going to start with like the Warren Nolan section. Hope everybody can see this. Should come up here in a second. All right, here we go. All right. So we've got the Warren Nolan one right here. There's Creighton's basic where it sits right now. 5-4 record, 4-0 at home, 0-2 in the road, 1-2 neutral. But if you want to go down to that where it says rankings and strengths, so right now we're 106 in the net, which is probably the worst net ranking I can remember Creighton having in years and years and years and years and years. And first of all, I'm going to say apologize because Warren Nolan has this ad thing that keeps popping up, and I know for one of our mock selection committees, we try, because we use Warren Nolan so much, we try to get it out of there. This is, by the way, this is just a regular. If you're outside the top 100, this is what you can pull up on Warren Nolan. I can scroll down a little bit to show the schedule, but if you're in the top 100 teams, then they have a full team sheet that looks exactly like the sheet that the NCAA committee looks at, selection committee looks at. But you can see the quadrants down at the bottom, the 0-3 in quadrant 1, 0-1 in quadrant 2, and then on down the list. Now, the cool thing is if you scroll down here to the thing. Now, the good thing for us right here is our strength of schedule is pretty strong. We've played a really good schedule so far. So 70s is not a bad number there. So that's kind of thing holding us up. But if you go down to here, you can kind of, the cool thing is it kind of shows you the teams that you beat and where they're at. South Dakota's at 275. That's not helping you. Obviously, Gonzaga is 4th, so that helps us with strength of schedule. We got 300 teams. That's not good. Baylor is not very high either. That's not exactly helping us. They're at 74. Iowa's at 3, obviously a strong team there. Then you've got Nichols and Oregon. One of the rare years Nebraska is going to help us just for strength of schedule purposes. Now, moving forward, Kansas State, the cutoff for quad 2 or quad 3 is 76 when you play at home. So Kansas State's at 80. So unless they improve, that'll be a quad 3 win, not a quad 2 win. However, when you go on the road, then a team like Xavier, that will be a quad 2 game. Marquette, though, that's going to be quad 3, and that's really crazy to see Marquette at 169 net. That's unbelievable. And then Utah Tech, obviously, we know is a bye game, so that's a 226 game. Obviously, not as bad as some of the other ones we've had. But then we get into string, and you can see we get into a string of games where we've got teams all in the top 50. Butler, Seton Hall, Villanova, St. John. So we've got a chance to kind of really bolster our resume, especially these games against these three teams. I think UConn is far and away ahead of everybody else in the conference. Then I think it's St. John's, kind of a big gap there in second. And then starting in third place, I think third place is so up for grabs between Villanova, Seton Hall, Butler, Creighton, Georgetown. They're all in the works for third place. So, and you can throw Providence in there as well. So as you can see, that's a good thing. Like one of the rare years, like usually DePaul, we know is going to be a bad net game. But this year, Marquette, unless Marquette wins some ball games, they're not good. But the rest of the net is pretty good as far as being able to move up with some wins. So we've got some opportunity to move up, even though we didn't get the big opportunity in non-conference. And that's going to kind of hurt us. Now, again, I've mentioned this before. The one thing that'll help us is a lot of the committee members from last year are back this year. It's not a huge turnover. And if you remember, they took North Carolina, who had, I think, one quad one win, really, to their credit. And they put them in the field because they had a good net score. They were good in some of the other metrics, and they had some nice quad two wins. And so we might be able to kind of craft that same kind of schedule and possibly get in the tournament. I'm not going to show you some T-rank stuff. Now, this is Torvig. He kind of takes everything and puts it all together, okay? And if you want to look down here, we're going to go down to Torvig actually has Creighton ranked 55th, which is right here. So Creighton's ranked 55th. I'll highlight that. Some of these categories. So this is adjusted offensive efficiency. So we're 59. So we're not bad. We're in top 60. We're hovering around top 60 in adjusted defensive efficiency. So those numbers aren't bad, which is good because that really helps you out. And that's why we're so strong in Torvik, because they weigh those numbers pretty heavily. Where we're really dropping is in effective field goal percentage and our defense on both sides. Defense actually even better than offense, which is very strange for Creighton. Then we go over to turnover rate. There's where we're getting killed. We're in the 200s in turnovers and defensive turnover at 324. So we're just not getting enough turnovers and we're turning it over too much. Offensive rebounding, defensive rebounding, another sore spot, especially the defensive rebounding. We're 226. We've got to improve that. We've got to shore up defensive. I get we're not going to get a ton of offensive rebounds. Even with Kalk, we didn't get a ton of offensive rebounds, but we've got to get the defensive rebounds because we've got to force teams to get off the boards and get back. And that's what usually teams do to us. They just don't want us to beat them down the floor, so they want to get back. So we've got to take care of business. Free throw rate. This is really disturbing because we thought with a guy like Nick Graves, who shot a lot of free throws last year, Blake Harper, who shot a lot of free throws last year, we'd be able to have a really good rate at getting to the line. That has not materialized. Just the other night, Nebraska seemed like they were living at the line all night long. The defensive rate, though, you can see, even though the other night I thought that Nebraska was kind of at the line, we're fourth. And that's because we historically have not fouled. We're not a big fouling team, so we keep teams off the line. So that's good. That's continuing to hold, which is great. 2-point percentage, we're 53rd in the country. Here's where we're getting killed is 3-point percentage. We're at 227. We have got to start making some threes. That's all there is to it. If we don't start making threes, we're going to continue to struggle. We've got to hit the open shot, especially now that some people are going to watch that Nebraska game and see maybe a key on how to beat us. And that's clogging up the lane, forcing us to make the right pass to get a three. And if we don't make the threes, then we're in trouble. The 3-point rate, as you can see, we're jacking up a lot of threes. I mean, we're 30th in the country in shooting threes, and we're 4th in preventing them. So that's good too. But that's also kind of like, yeah, that's good. But what's happening then? People are driving it to the hole on us. If you've got teams that are shooting, if you're up in the, like, say, hundreds there on 3-point rate, that means you're keeping, kind of like Nebraska. Nebraska is one of the worst teams in the country on that, because they're just letting teams. They're just not going to let people drive to the hole. The other thing that does is, if you have leads, which we lost 4 games already out of 9, if you have leads, then the other team's got to shoot threes at the end. So then that jacks up that percentage. And then way on the right is they're adjusted. The one I want to show you, though, is WOB over here. So I'm going to switch this. We're going to go to the regular stats. And this now ranks teams by net on the left. So this is the net ranking. So if you go down here, net ranking, here's Nebraska, for instance. You see their WOB is plus 1.8. That's good. That means they win. That's wins above bubble. So it's a new metric they came up with last year, which shows wins above bubble. And basically what that means is, are you beating teams at or above the bubble? And that's what that does. I'm going to show you this, though, where we can highlight it a little better for Creighton's sake. And here we are. We're all the way down here to 106. Okay, so this lists this all right here. So here's one, we're 106 in the net. There it is, 106 in the net. KPI, which is Kevin Paga, is a metric that is on the NCAA team sheets. Okay, so that's 136. The next one is strength of record, and there's the WOB we just talked about. Strength of record is basically how you've done against the record. So the tougher your schedule and the more wins you get, the better. So a team like Michigan, if we go all the way back to the top, as you can see, is number 1 because they played a really tough schedule and they haven't lost. So that's kind of where that is. Back to Creighton. So the WOB, we have discovered over in Bracketville, and you can see they take an average of these 3 scores right here: KPI, SOR, and WOB. KPI is, so far, the ratings I've seen are a little bit off, so I don't know how accurate that is. But at any rate, you can see they do an average here. We did a lot of research over the summer, and after the bracket was announced last year, we typically, as bracketologists, at least I do, and I know my partner Dave does, we dig into the bracket and go, okay, where did we go wrong? Where did we go wrong? And then what was the committee looking for here? And is there any kind of keys? One we've discovered is that last year they leaned heavily on SOR, which is a fairly new metric, and WOB, which was a brand new metric last year. The committee weighed heavily on there. And net always is a factor every stinking year, even though they say it's only a sorting tool. You watch, right now, if the NCAA committee was going to put out a bracket right now, I will guarantee you, of these top 25 teams, at least 15 of them would be in the 1, 2, 3, or 4 seed lines, if not all of them. And you can even go top 20, and I'll guarantee you like 14 of those will be in here. And just looking at this, I'm saying that's this year, that would be absolutely 100%. Most bracketologists have all of these teams in their top 4, all the way down through Georgia would be one that's not in there. North Carolina wouldn't be in there. St. Mary's wouldn't be in, but Kansas, Texas Tech, those are all candidates of teams that would be in there. So net does have a factor, no matter what the NCAA says. It does, and the committee says it does have a factor. So what we've done is we've taken an average of the SOR, the WOB, and the net, Now, when we do that, and then we come up with a top 50, and for the first time all year, we're going to release that on Friday. And it's going to be a pretty good indication, I think, all the way through the season of where teams line up. It's not going to, nothing is absolute. There's always outliers. Nothing is perfect. It just isn't. That's where you've got to drill down, look at the team sheets and see how teams have actually done. But Creighton actually ranks pretty decently in that, and that's kind of encouraging, frankly. I mean, not only for NCAA berth bids if we can get there, but also if we can get into the Crown tournament. As I said, I don't think we'll be. I'd be shocked if we're bad enough that we wouldn't get into the Crown tournament. Because the Crown, you remember, that's the tournament that Nebraska won. That's where they send all these teams out to Vegas, and the Big East gets like 3 or 4 bids into that every year if teams qualify. They have to have a winning record and so forth. So, we would definitely get into that tournament. So, I think the numbers here are going to help us with that. So not all is lost. I just it's kind of, I guess, my resounding message here. Most years you're like, oh, we got to beat UConn. We got to beat St. John's. Back in the day we had to beat Villanova. They were at the top. Years past, Marquette was at the top. Well, they're not there this year. So we've got to, we really, like I said, got to take care of business against the Seton Halls, the Butlers, the Villanovas. Those teams are the teams this year, according to the rankings, are the teams that we have to beat. And if we can do that, then we're going to be just fine. You're going to see us start crawling up the rankings. And it kind of starts with right off the get-go when Big East starts next week. We've got Xavier and then Marquette at Xavier and then Marquette at home. Those are going to be huge, huge, huge games for us. And again, if we can win those games, you're gonna see us shoot right up the rankings. I was just kind of taking a look at the rankings. The last one I pulled was earlier this week, and kind of seeing where Creighton fell in when we did that average of the WAB, the SOR, and the net. And I think I was kind of surprised where Creighton fell, although maybe they dropped a little bit here. Well, I know they're not that low. Let's see. There we are, 81. So you can see our net's at 106, but when you really throw out the other metrics and really focus in on the key metrics, Creighton was at 81. So, that puts us in with like New Mexico, Western Kentucky, Wyoming, Texas, A&M, Penn State, Georgetown. Georgetown, another team that we've got that's ahead of us that we got to beat. They don't have a very good net score though right now. That's what's dragging them down. Their other metrics are pretty good. The SOR and WAB are really good for Georgetown. So at any rate, that just kind of gives you an idea that, like, I know people are like, oh my God, we're not going to have any postseason. We're not going to do this. That's just not true. We've got an excellent chance. Not only excellent chance getting the postseason, like the Crown. We'd have a great chance for that. Which Rob made a joke to me. Rob Anderson made a joke to me, and when we were in Vegas, he's like, well, what people want to know, Tim, is what are our chances of getting in the Crown? That was after we lost the first 2 games. And, just said that jokingly. Like, I said, man, I never even thought about that. Coming back out to Vegas for another week, that'd be a little bit crazy. But at any rate, that's kind of where we sit. Just kind of give you a recap. And once again, just want to emphasize this because we want as many Jays fans here as possible. But tonight we're having that event over at Fusion Brewing Company, Southwest Omaha, 5:30 to 8. Those players, Jason Green, the Gesser twins, and Isaac Trout will be there. They'll sign autographs, take pictures, whatever you want. RTI, the co-sponsor, is going to be there. We're going to have some food. If you RSVP to bluejbanner@gmail.com, we'll give you some drink tickets. There it is, bluejbanner@gmail.com. So check it out. Send an email there. Tell us how many people are coming, and have that into me by, I don't know, noonish time. So get on the phone, check with your spouse, and see if they want to come to the game. We're going to have a lot of women, and we're going to have a ton of raffle prizes there too. So some really good stuff too. Some stuff that like women would really like, because we usually get a pretty good mix of men and women at these events. So unlike the golf tournament where it's mostly all men, we're going to get a nice mix of men and women coming to this, and especially the Gesser twins being local, and obviously our two male players being local as well. So should be a good night to come out, support the local kids who are doing so well for our programs, and check them all out. All right. That's all we got today. Tomorrow, as we said earlier, we're going to have a volleyball preview. Don't forget, the match starts at noon tomorrow. So carve out some time, take extra long lunch, whatever you got to do to watch the match. It's on ESPN2. Starts at noon. And that's on Thursday. So that's the big thing coming up. And then Saturday, as we said, have that big pregame over at the Hilton. So we want to pack that place and get as many people there as possible. It usually is a really good crowd that shows up there. So I think it'll just be enhanced by the fact we're doing this pregame event with RTI Threads. So thanks so much, guys. We will see you tonight, hopefully, at Infusion.